Give back to the community and stand up for social justice. At Minuteman Press Uptown, we understand Black Lives Matter and know love is love. We're the only minority-owned and proud union print shop in the state. And while we take pride in our work with over 100 plus years of industry experience, we also know it's important to be involved in our community. We're active in the Twin Cities, fighting for racial, social, and economic justice.
Are you guys getting a buzz from my end with this
success.
Are you guys getting a buzz from my end with this headset?
Minuteman Press's graphic design team took our ideas and turned them into an eye-catching promotional piece that was professional, and they far exceeded my expectations. And we sure love that they share our progressive values. They can help with direct mail, signs, promotion, and any other printing needs. Work with the graphic design and print team that AM 950 trusts, Minuteman Press Uptown. Call 612-870-0777 or visit mpuptown.com.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Clear overnight with a low of 64, then sunshine Saturday and a high of 81. Visit an Eat Local Minnesota restaurant today for a one-of-a-kind dining experience. Cafe Latte, Crooner Supper Club, Hazel's Northeast, Lake City Sandwiches, Nightingale, The Great Wall, and Victor's 1959 Cafe. More at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous. Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings that wounded me.
I am awake.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. And I'm your host, Wakunja Hade, which means distant thunder. My colonized name is Robert Pilot, and my taxpayer name is Robert Pilot too. And we discuss Native issues from all over Turtle Island and indigenous issues all over the planet. We are awesome here, and and you know, Wendy, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 Hotline. Call them at 651-304-9986. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for any COVID-19 questions.
You know, it's a sad anniversary here coming up 20 years tomorrow. I know it's affected your family, or our family, I should say. Your stepfather was across the river and saw people jumping out of the buildings. And
that was the first time I ever heard him cry, Steve.
Yeah.
My niece's husband, stepfather and uncle both died that day. And every year they have a memorial. the family gets together and remembers them and talks about them. Of course, they didn't have one last year because of COVID, but they are getting together tomorrow. So wish them the best.
Before we get to the news, too, it was like crazy because I was teaching at the time, and somebody said that a plane had run into the first tower, and it was like, well, these pesky little planes running into the tower. I had no idea. And then we turned TV on in school right away and saw the second plane come in, and it's like, well, that's no mistake. And then I called you, or maybe even before that, but it's a souring, sad anniversary of 20 years.
It really is. And in October, right after 9/11, I had plans to go out to New York, Manhattan, to meet some friends who, we all lived in New York together, but we now live elsewhere. But we got all together, I think it was like around October 15th, and it was still smoldering, like the whole area. We went down to Ground Zero. The part that really broke our hearts were that all the pictures of the loved ones were still around the fence. So,
Well, what was, before we get to Ogimaa with the news, I just wanted to say this last thing about that was like two of the saddest things I remember about that the night of was that one, there was no ambulances coming in there with injured people. They were waiting for them and nobody came. So they were all dead. And two, the people that were walking around, the family people that were walking around with signs of pictures. Have you seen this person?
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. I remember. I'll never forget that. But today is Positive Friday, so I better move on here. And let's talk. Let's get Ogimaa out here with the news. And today we have State Senator Mary Kunesh on.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Annie and Bonjour, everybody.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm coming in on a different headset today, so I just wanted to make sure everybody could hear me. Yes, it is the 20th anniversary of September 11th coming up tomorrow, so our hearts and prayers go out with those who are in New York and who passed or who had loved ones that passed when the World Trade Centers collapsed. I do want to throw in something a little sad as well, since we're at it. I feel like it's important to mention, because we kind of mentioned it at first, when they first started finding children, I should say. But the number as of September 3rd of Native children that have been found on residential schools, remains of Native children that have been found as of September 3rd is 6,128. 5,048 are from Canada, and 1,079 have so far been found in the United States, in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Colorado, South Dakota, Kansas, Nevada, Oregon, Oklahoma, and California so far. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we have still been tracking this, even if we haven't been bringing it up every day. It's somber what's happening, and that these children's remains are finally being able to be brought back to their families, which is a relief. But the fact that they never came home to their families alive in the first place is, I think, what's so painful. So if you are dealing with it or having a hard time with that, there is a residential school support line that's run out of Canada. Anybody can call. I apologize, I don't have the number on hand, but if you type into Google residential school survivor hotline or something like that, even if you're just a regular person, you're not a survivor, you don't have anybody in your family that went through, but you're having a hard time with it, they'll still talk to you. So I want to make you sure that that's aware, and that everybody is aware that there's also phone numbers that are out there if you're having a hard time and you need help. There's crisis lines. I guarantee there's almost always a crisis line somewhere in your area or somebody that you can call. You're never alone. So make sure that you keep that in mind this weekend and all weekends as we come into the fall and winter seasons, when I know people's depression kind of can sometimes flare up. So moving on from that, I send you all love. I want to make sure that everybody gets kind of an update here on what's happening with the Line 3 movement. So what's happening right now is that Line 3 is almost completed, but the decommissioning trust fund that Enbridge was supposed to set aside actually still hasn't happened. So the agreement with Enbridge to pay for the removal and cleanup of the new line when the old Line 3 is taken out of service. The agreement's still in limbo. So back in 2018, Enbridge proposed that the PUC pay for the removal and cleanup of the Line 3, and the PUC accepted, but now the agreement's still in limbo because the Minnesota Department of Commerce has contested Enbridge's language, and it's yet to be resolved. So they're planning to pump oil through the Line 3 by October, but they don't have a plan to take care of what they already put in the ground. So that's typical Enbridge, isn't it? The other thing that's happening right now with Line 3 is that Enbridge has been reported as pumping municipal water from the town of Floodwood. Massive amounts of water. So they're basically running a pump station out of Floodwood, Minnesota, and taking water there in the same way that they seen in Park Rapids after Park Rapids City Council told Enbridge to stop taking water from them. So that is happening in the Line 3 movement. In other news, I want to let everybody know, one more Line 3 thing. 23 protesters were arrested at the direct action in Clearbrook earlier this week. I know I reported that action had happened, and I didn't have any information at the time of how many people were arrested, but it looks like 23 water protectors, including elders, grandmothers were arrested. So just to keep that in mind, and to make sure you go to stopline3.org/hub to donate to the bail fund for water protectors who are putting their lives on the line to protect us from Line 3. In better news for this Friday, Harvard University is going to end its investment in fossil fuels, they announced. So the school's president announced just yesterday that they are going to start divesting, and the endowment and the school's endowment would have no direct investments in fossil fuel exploration or developing companies as of June, and that it will not make any further such investments in the future, given the need to decarbonize the economy. So that's really big news, and I believe that's Winona LaDuke's alma mater. Is that right? She studied economics at Harvard?
Yes, she did, among other schools. But yeah, definitely.
Yes, so that was really exciting to see as well. It's valued at about $42 billion that the school's endowment is pulled out of the fossil fuel industry. So that's a lot.
Awesome. Well, Ogimaa, you have to leave early today, and Lewis is going to take over. Lewis, Eagle Thunder. So you have to haul or something before you go, because you'll miss out on that.
How?
Hey, you're listening.
Welcome.
Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. Up next, Lewis, Eagle Thunder, and State Senator Mary Kunesh. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN 350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN 350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
If you're hurting in your relationship or have been affected by sexual violence, you're not alone. Strong Hearts Native Helpline can help you through these difficult and uncertain times. Strong Hearts Helpline is a free 24/7 confidential domestic dating and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans. Help is available by calling 1-844-762-8483 or by clicking on the Chat Now icon on strongheartshelpline.org. This message is sponsored by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
This is Winona the Duke of Honor the Earth, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm awake.
We are Alusa Nation.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice. I just want to say one thing really quickly here. You know, we talk about New York all the time when it comes to 9/11, and I think we do that because most people were killed in New York, but we also want to reach out and say to the people in Arlington, Virginia, where the Pentagon is, and also Somerset County, Pennsylvania, because that's where another the plane went down. So I just want to mention that. That we're not forgetting about them as well. They have also been affected very much.
Yeah, that definitely. Louis, your thoughts about this Salmon, or this really sad time?
Yeah, I was working third shift for Thompson West. It's an old company, makes law books in St. Paul, and I was I was in their IT, and I remember getting woken up to the my friend at the time that we both were roommates. He's Puerto Rican. He's from New York, and his dad called him and said all this stuff, and he couldn't believe it. But by the time he told me, I was already out the door back to work, and heard it on the radio. One really ominous thing that I remember is that the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport had no flights going in and out. And I don't know if you guys remember that, but in that afternoon, they canceled all flights, and everything, nothing was in there. And I remember going from Minneapolis to Eagan, as you guys know, on 55, you pass the airport and there's always flights going in. There was nothing. And I'll remember that to this day, because I remember thinking and deep in my heart, man, it's just, this life has changed. Life has changed completely.
Well, another thing about that too, is that we can kind of hear the rumble of the airport from where we are off to a distance, and there was none of that. But then there was F-16s flying all over the place too, which was really weird. But yeah, so yeah, good thoughts, and we'll get back to you, Louis, later in the show here. But we want to bring State Senator Mary Kunesh, and she looks like she's vacationing somewhere onto the show here, and we missed you last week, so it's great to see you. I'm trying to unmute you, and I just muted you. Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio. You were hanging out with the squad, so I wasn't sure if you wanted to come on because, you were hanging out with the squad and you're cool.
Yeah, it's good to be back here too. I'm in Wisconsin with my kids for a couple of days. We finally found one weekend where all of my kids and their significant others could get together for one last hurrah for the summer. But yes, last weekend was a really exciting weekend. Ilhan Omar invited me to be a co-host to most of the ladies from her squad oh my gosh, now I'm drawing a blank on their names. Cori Bush, Ayanna Presley, is it Rashida Tlaib came in, and we took a trip up north and visited with the elders. We visited with the water protectors. We visited with tribal elders as well, visited a couple of the different sites and camps so that they could get a good idea of, this struggle that we've been in, in pushing back against Enbridge and Pipe 3. And I thought it was really interesting when we first started the tour, we had a press release or a press conference at Boom Island in Minneapolis, and one of the interviewers asked, why are you here? They're not from Minnesota. Why are you pulling this on? Why are you taking this on? But when you think about it, every single one of those women, and these are women of color, have either they write now represent issues, or they themselves have lived in and grown up in communities where corporate pollution and contamination have affected the health of folks, especially the poor people, people of color who live in those communities. You know, when you look at Cori Bush, she represents St. Louis, Missouri, where the Mississippi River runs right through her community. And it was so interesting because she saw the river in Minneapolis, and then she saw the river up north, you know, not too far from the headwaters. And she said, I've never seen the Mississippi look like this. I've never seen clear water, or water where you would dip your toe in or put your hand into the water, because it's so polluted by the time it gets down into St. Louis, Missouri. And of course, Rashida Tlaib is in Michigan, where Enbridge has a pipe that has been leaking and runs right through, you know, the really busy waters. And their governor has told them, stop pumping water, stop, or oil, stop putting anything through here. And they've totally ignored that command. And so this is, you know, it's not just a Native American issue. It's not just the tribal of northern Minnesota, or water protectors or environmentalists in Minnesota. These are, you know, this has direct negative consequences to communities across our nation. Did you lose me for a minute?
Maybe I'll.
Did you get any of that?
A little bit. Maybe I'll give you. Text you the number.
Yeah, we're going to text you the phone number and then call in. I think you'll have a better internet. We won't be able to see your beautiful face, but at least we'll be able to hear your important message. So,
all right. Can you hear me now? Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes. So you know, these women understand environmental issues and how pollution and go not just our Native communities.
I'm gonna. I just sent you the one. I just sent you the phone number, Mary, and can you give us a call? Give us a call right back. So, yeah, we'll get Mary on a landline. She's up in the deep north, Lewis.
Yeah, great comments coming in though through Facebook, and we appreciate everyone commenting there. Marianne Murick, Bridget Conley says, my husband's a Duluth native, swears Minnesota has the best water, and that's something we're trying to protect. And it's so great to see so many people engaging us on social media.
Yeah, it is. It was, you know, when we bring State Senator Mary Kunesh back on the landline, it was, we videotaped it, and it's on our page, that whole area that she was talking about. And Mary's back on the line here. Thanks, State Senator Mary Kunesh.
You bet.
Yeah, and I was just talking about that. I had that whole. We went AM 950 or Native Roots Radio went live during that whole downtown Minneapolis event, and you spoke. But I thought the question and answer part till Ilham Omar was very disrespectful, and she handled it very well.
Yeah, it's not an issue that, let's say, women or women of color have united around in the past, especially when there are strong leaders. But now there are strong leaders that are speaking out, not just against Enbridge's Line 3, but around the issues that really affect their constituents and their state and their communities as well. And so I think there's a lot of people that are not used to them speaking out, and especially when this group that are so vocal and are such champions for the most disenfranchised communities, people don't always like to hear those things. So I was really thankful that they came. I was certainly excited to join them on that tour and listen to, again, the elders, the water warriors, and the tribal leaders who have been fighting so hard against this for so long. They just reiterate every single time, and unfortunately, they haven't been listened to very well.
Yeah, that's for sure. Very powerful. And of course, I saw the pictures when you were up north and everything, and I got FOMO, but it was really awesome to start out that trip down in Minneapolis, Boom Island, I believe it was, to start that out. And a lot of press there, and that was good. And again, you all handled yourself well, and yeah, that's why we elected you. And matter of fact, your constituents are very close to where you guys started that out, correct?
Yeah, I represent District 41, which is just above Northeast Minneapolis. It starts in St. Anthony Village, and then New Brighton, Columbia Heights, Fridley, Hilltop, and a little bit of Spring Lake Park. But it's interesting that I'm in this space and that I'm able to speak against Line 3. People will say, well, you're descendant of the Lakota Standing Rock tribe. You're a suburban representative. Is this really your fight? But, we have strong Native leaders and women across our state. We have a lieutenant governor. We have 2 state representatives, Representative Becker Finn and Representative Heather Keeler. They weren't able to make it on that tour, but they're working this issue just as hard as anybody else, and it takes all the nations to come together and push back against this, and it's going to take our President of the United States.
Yeah,
I think he's our last chance at making sure that no oil goes through that line.
Can you stay with us?
Yep.
We'll be right back. Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Is your remote workforce putting your company at risk? Cyber criminals are targeting your employees with COVID-19 inspired emails and attacking businesses like yours. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. Rymark has the tools and expertise to enable your employees to work securely from home. If you need help getting your staff to work remotely and securely, call 651-328-8900 or go to rymarkit.com. That's 651-328-8900 or rymarkit.com.
If you're hurting in your relationship or have been affected by sexual violence, you're not alone. Strong Hearts Native Helpline can help you through these difficult and uncertain times. Strong Hearts Helpline is a free 24/7 confidential domestic dating and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans. Help is available by calling 1-844-762-8483 or by clicking on the Chat Now icon on strongheartshelpline.org. This message is sponsored by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
I was on a road trip this summer and it happened. A truck threw a rock, chipped my windshield, and the next thing I knew, I had a crack. I wasn't just going to take my vehicle to any service center. I trust Rudy Luther Toyota to take care of my car. Whether routine service, new tires, large repairs, or even a cracked windshield, Rudy Luther Toyota has the professional, courteous, trained team you need to get your vehicle back on the road fast. Scheduling online is a breeze, and their service center is wonderful with Wi-Fi and coffee. No matter your vehicle, if you need service, head to Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Hello, Minnesota. This is Stephanie Miller. Make sure to start your day off right with the Stephanie Miller Show every weekday morning from 8 to 11 right here on AM 950.
At Metro Transit, they want to say thank you to those who have been riding with them, reintroduce themselves to those who have been away, and welcome those who are new to the community and transit system. During this time of transition, Metro Transit is excited to offer $1 rides for the months of September and October as our region continues to move forward together. Learn more at metrotransit.org/dollar-rides. That's metrotransit.org/dollar-rides.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Clear overnight with a low of 64, then sunshine Saturday and a high of 81. Visit an Eat Local Minnesota restaurant today for a one-of-a-kind dining experience. Cafe Latte, Crooner Supper Club, Hazel's Northeast, Lake City Sandwiches, Nightingale, The Great Wall, and Victor's 1959 Cafe. More at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Bijou. I am Oshawashko Gijig. I'm from Red Lake Nation, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, we have State Senator Mary Kunesh on the phone, and she's spending some time with us in between her vacation with her family, so we really appreciate that. Mary, welcome back, and again, it was great to see you with the squad, and AOC couldn't come because of all the flooding that was happening in New York, I understand.
Yeah, we were excited that she was coming, but we totally understand that she needed to be in her district and with her constituents. That was some incredible flooding like they've never seen before. And it was important that she was home with those that elected her and with her community.
Yeah, it was horrible. I know my family lives on Long Island, and they're in Nassau County, so they were affected minimally. But west of them, Queens, the Bronx, Brooklyn, New York City, the 5 boroughs, they really got hit really, really hard. I mean, there were a lot of deaths too. So.
Right, a 500-year rain that's going to be coming more often now, or a 500-year storm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard a few stories on the radio about folks that live in those garden sort of basement apartments where the water just came flooding in and they had no way out. And they'd never seen anything or heard anything like that before. So it's such a tragedy. Yes.
It really is.
Yeah. So what's ahead for you this coming months? I don't know how you feel, but I was really feeling pretty good about not being in school, but then as a teacher, and now I see pictures of the students and the teachers up there, and I kind of feel, oh geez, I really missed this. Oh,
I know. Both you and I just retired from teaching after a couple decades of that career, and in a way I was thankful because the Senate business is keeping me awfully busy. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, this is the time of year where we're getting our rooms ready, my library ready, helping kids with technology, and all of that. And so it is kind of bittersweet not to be going back to school, but I was really lucky to be invited to one of the elementary schools in my district on the first day. And I was invited to be there to welcome the kids and then take a tour. They were able to get some money from their community and were able to add on and do some upgrades and really build an incredibly wonderful STEM school. And so that felt really good. But at the same time, I kind of I won't see those kids that I have known for a number of years and watched them grow up and age out. But there's a time and a place for everything, and I just am really thankful that I've got good teachers to fill the void that I left there. Indeed.
Yeah, I just got a break in here real quick, and there was Jelaine Johnson that came on and gave us 4 hearts, and that's our daughter with the new last name that just got married a couple of weeks ago. We just want to say we love you, Jelaine, and thanks for listening.
Congratulations again.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah. So
we're back to a school year that we're not sure how much those kids will be able to be in person. I heard that the president is making some mandatory vaccination decrees, and I just hope that people will finally take it to heart and realize that vaccinating is the only way that we're going to be able to get through this next round of COVID, and hope that another one doesn't in the meantime morph out. But we'll be busy here doing some of the Senate work. Our Senate minority leader decided to step down. She's an only child, and her mother is in one of the southern states. She hasn't been able to be with her mother, who is, really getting up there in the years. So she stepped down so she could really pay attention to her mom. So we'll in the DFL, the Dem side, we're going to be looking for a new minority leader, and that should happen next week. There's a new majority leader in the Senate. Paul Gazelka has decided to join the group that are running for governor next year, and so we have a new majority leader in the DFL. His name is Jeremy Miller, I believe. And so I don't know him very well. I've only been 1 year in the Senate. So I hope that he builds a really collaborative Senate where both of the parties, the GOP and the DFL, can get some really good work done. It's a bonding year, so we'll be looking for money to put into the communities for roads and bridges and buildings and infrastructure. And it's always kind of a contentious year when we're trying to allocate funds to different communities in need. Every community oftentimes has really big needs, but it's just how far can we make those dollars stretch? But I hope we can do it in a good way this time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Mary, I know you're up north with your family, and
no, she's in Wisconsin.
Oh, northern Wisconsin?
Yeah, northern Wisconsin. So you're both right.
So I want to let you get back with your family, but I really appreciate you coming on. I'll give you a last minute here to give a quick shout out of whatever you want to say.
Well, I just want to wish everybody to have a really great weekend. It's just absolutely gorgeous up here. I think it's going to be so gorgeous across Minnesota. Remember to take care of each other and love each other. I'm here with my kids and their significant others, and it just feels so good to be with family, to be in nature. Sometimes we have to stop, slow down, and recognize just how blessed we are in this world that's so full of turmoil. So just want to say Wopala Tonka to all of you, and don't forget to tell each other you love each other and give each other a good old hug.
Wow, perfect. Wow, that's
Perfect
great.
Friday.
Yeah.
Good news for Friday.
Yeah.
Pinagigi for being on, Mary, and go hug your family, and thanks for stopping in.
Absolutely.
We'll see you. Wow, Wendy, that's a great way to start the weekend.
Yeah, she's right. I mean, we all need to do that. We all need to tell each other we love each other more often, because you never know what's going to happen. And the world is crazy. We live in the upside down world.
Right. So, Lewis, you might be heading to a powwow this weekend. Do you know anything about the powwow, where it is or anything?
Yeah, so the Migwakiton Dakota community are hosting a powwow in Dakota. What is it? Mendota Heights. Sorry, Dakota Mendota. Right. Mendota Heights, right next to Fort Snelling, there off 55. They have some TP set up. Tomorrow is grand entry. It's available to all those that want to go. It's going to be a great time, great weather, great time. Mask up, of course, social distance like I do. Even though, you're vaccinated, it's good to always just maintain that space with everything going on. But yeah, absolutely. One thing Mary Kunesh said that was really important, I think one of the last things she said was that, it's important to tell your kids that you love them, and that, even in these times of uncertainty and crisis with anxiety up and everything, that they know that you are there, and you're their foundation through the pandemic and all this, because it's scary. It's scary time to be a kid. Think about that. You got to wear a mask. Some of these kids aren't going to school. They're going back to school. Man, when I was in Harding High School, there in the Indian ed education, we had nothing like that to worry about, Robert.
No, we didn't. Yeah, I mean, times have changed, and hopefully, I don't want to get too apolitical here, but hopefully this mask mandate will really help squash some of this down here with these businesses. And I know the post office is not part of this mask mandate, so that's really interesting. I don't know how that happened.
Is it a mask or the vaccine?
Vaccine. Thank
Vaccine.
you. Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you, Wendy.
Mhm. Okay.
I'm short of words.
I know what you
here.
mean.
My vocabulary
Mhm.
it suffers.
The
So
post office is not part of the vaccine mandate.
supposedly a really strong union, and they're pushing out against
Wow.
that. So that's one of the federal
It's too bad.
federal offices that aren't doing it. But mask up, like Lewis said. And Lewis, I don't know, we talked a little bit about this, but maybe you can tell our audience in Chicago and Madison a little bit of the significance of Fort Snelling before we get going here. We got like a minute and a half left.
Yeah, absolutely. During the quote unquote Dakota uprising, Governor Ramsey with Henry Sibley, who's was one of his generals there, were really focused on the actual removal of Dakota. It was an ethnic genocide. And part of this ethnic genocide was gathering women and children to Fort Snelling. And they were there for they were starved, they didn't have any food, and they were, between walls there in Fort Snelling. You actually look at pictures, if you Google it, and look at Fort Snelling Native American, concentration camps, and it's there. And they took not only Dakota people, they took Ho-Chunk people, they took whatever, Indians were around. And I want to make sure I recognize that it just wasn't a certain group. And even though, Governor Ramsey call for the complete extermination of Dakota people in Minnesota, that they didn't care, they didn't discriminate, and this was an ethnic genocide. So I mean, for us as Indigenous people in Minnesota, we are resistant, standing strong, Robert, and I think that's such an important, positive thing to think about, especially with Mary Kunesh in the state Senate. I mean, think about Governor Ramsey. He would be rolling his grave to have her, there in the state Senate.
Right. Exactly. So inch by inch, we're progressing here, and having a show like this and the support we get from everyone that does our Patreon, to all our sponsors here. I don't think we give them a big enough shout out or credit to really put us on like this, Lewis and Wendy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So absolutely. Thank you, the Patreon people. We really appreciate it.
And our advertisers.
Mm-hmm.
So we're winding up this segment here, and we're going to have the sacred animal section. And I'm wondering if we are going to do any kind of bear talk or anything.
No bear talk, but fun, good news.
So can like Lewis and I guess on stuff, or no?
Well, maybe I'll see if I can.
Yeah.
I'll say.
All right. Well, we got 2 minutes to figure it out. A commercial break here. Again, Lewis, thank you, Peony Gigi, for all you do for us. It's great to be able to throw, this stuff to Lewis that we don't really practice on. Hey, Lewis, you're going to say this and I'll say that. No, we just throw it to Lewis. And
we don't practice at all. It shows.
But we're like a punk. We're like a punk band, no practice, all looks, right?
Exactly. Well, hey, we'll be right back after this quick break, Wendy, with our sacred animals section.
Yeah, stay with us.
Aho.
We are your relatives,
We are your relations,
brothers,
sisters,
sons.
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
Homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, welcome back. Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Kanja Hade.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful white wolf there that Lewis has on the screen.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You people that are just listening to us on the radio, you don't know why I'm laughing, but that's awesome, Lewis. Again, we're on Facebook and YouTube if you ever want to see what we look like, and I look like a wreck every day, so there's that. But I wear one of my 500 T-shirts each day too.
He's not lying about 500. It's at least 500.
And Lewis just gave me one of his shirts, and maybe Lewis, you want to give a shout out where your swag company is, what website we could jump on and buy some cool swag from you?
Absolutely, Robert Pilot Kardashian. The website is bignativedesigns.com. But yeah, that's absolutely. You know, one of these days you should do a whole, like a museum, like the Robert Pilot Black Shirt Museum or something like that, we could call it, even though you're wearing orange today. So
yeah, well, we should move on in this discussion here because Wendy's looking at me like, get rid of your shirts. Why do you only wear the same 20? Why do you have 500? But hey, that's not cut into Wendy's Fun Friday of our Sacred Animal section here, because I can't wait to hear, Lewis, what Wendy's got in store for us.
Hey, everybody. My name is Hanajihi Hani, and that means cares for them. And as everyone knows, I was given that name by my Dega, Curtis. As always, Curtis, thank you very much. Ooh, that scared me. I wasn't expecting it. I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level. But there's also the Humane Society International, and I just want to talk about them a little while for a little bit. But they are associated with us, but they do work outside of the United States, and I have a lot of good news here. I just got an email yesterday with a thank you note, so I'm going to read it. So I don't give any money to them, but I sign a lot of petitions. I do give money to the Humane Society of the United States, but the Humane Society International, I don't, but I sign a lot of petitions and I write emails and I do things like that. So I get a letter and it says, "Dear Wendy, we have some great news to share and we couldn't wait to tell you." And I'm really happy about this, I have to say. Last week, before I go on, I just want to say this. Everybody thinks like the United States of America is on top of everything and does everything first for animals and is the most humane, but honestly, we're not. And I hate to say it, but we're not. But listen to this. Mexico just became the first country in North America to ban the practice of animal testing for cosmetics.
Wow.
Yep.
That's huge.
Yeah, the whole thing, Mexico. The new law also bans the manufacturer, import, and marketing of cosmetics tested on animals anywhere in the world. So they will not even bring in L'Oreal products, let's say, that are tested on animals. So I really want to give them a big shout out for that. Lawmakers unanimously passed the bill after years of campaign work by the Humane Society International and the Mexico public interests from animal lovers like you, and the launch of Save Ralph. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. Save Ralph, which led to 1.3 million petition signatures in Mexico alone. So Save Ralph was a campaign that the Humane Society International have, and you could look it up. It's a stop motion animated rabbit, and it's a really cute little story. It's not gruesome or anything like that, but it tells his story as a test rabbit. And he tested cosmetics, and that's what he did for a living. So 4.5 million plus signatures on petitions calling for cosmetics, animal testing bans, 150 million plus views on social media platforms, and 730 million plus hashtag Save Ralph views and posts shared on TikTok, with creators posting homages to Ralph, offering themed challenges and creating petition drives. So this is what happened in Mexico. All the people got together and really did this. So we're really happy. If you want to check it out, Save Ralph, also go on. It's a really cute little video. Again, it's not anything like horrific or anything. It's just a really heartfelt little story that you could go on.
We like those on Friday.
Yeah, we do. And everybody too, I have an app on my phone. It's free. It's called Cruelty Cutter. It's a free app. Go into the app store. It goes on an Android, iPhone, whatever kind of phone you have. And you could scan the barcodes of products to see if they're tested on animals or not. So you could make a choice. So every time you go to shop, you're voting. You're voting for what you want in your life. So I try to vote that I don't want to buy products that are tested on animals. So all my cosmetics and shampoos and soaps and stuff, I don't use any of those products that are tested on animals.
You know what's awesome about that app too is we've been surprised.
Very surprised,
like
right?
we'll go, oh, let's try this and see if this is one. And then, and what's like, whoa, okay, I can buy this. That's cool. Where some of them you wouldn't think would be.
Yes, exactly.
I can't think of an example, but I know that's happened to us a bunch of times.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, get that Cruelty Cutter app. It's free, and just use it. And if the product is not on their list, you could add it, and they'll check it out and they'll add the product if it is or not, if it's tested. And if it is tested on animals, you'll get a little notice, and it'll say "Bite Back. This product has been tested on animals." So then you just don't buy it, and you could click it and it'll give you alternatives. So that's a really good thing. So and then check out the Save Ralph. There's also progress for dogs in Indonesia. In May, we shared with you the truck interception and rescue of over 75 dogs that were bound for slaughter in Indonesia. for the first time in history, these dog meat traders will be prosecuted. So I'm really happy about that. Again, a lot of people don't realize that dogs in countries are used for meat. I mean, to them, it's like a cow, right?
Mhm.
They're one of the same. And to me, a dog is a cow, is a fish, is a cat, is a chicken. So. But anyway, that's really good news too. And a couple of things here in the state. Intentional balloon releases will no longer be allowed in Hawaii, Maine, Maryland, Rhode Island, and Virginia. Legislators in those coastal states voted to protect birds and marine animals who eat and become entangled in the balloons that fall or wash into the sea. And we see this over and over again. A lot of people like to release balloons for a loved one who's passed, and they feel like the balloons are going up to heaven, and they do that. And there are other ways that you could do that. They have like those paper mache little things that you put a flame in and it flies up, and those are kind of biodegradable, and that's a better way, just because the balloons and the latex are, look at all. So Lewis just put up a balloon release. I don't know where this is, but there's like millions and millions and millions of balloons. And even if you don't live in a coastal state, you're still polluting the area and the ground. And, the balloons get into waterways here. We have rivers, we have the Mississippi River and 10,000 lakes where those balloons could go. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wendy, as always.
Good Friday.
I'm going to mix it up a little bit here. You and I are going to say we need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office. We are the 7th generation.
Free Leonard Peltier. Stop line 3. Please get vaccinated.
Go ahead, Lewis.
Please get vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Got any final words? You got 15 seconds.
Oh, take care of each other. Love each other. Absolutely.
And feed your dog.
Feed your dog. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Spay neuter your pets.
That's right. Bob Barker there. Hey, we'll see you next week. You're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake.
Don't be surprised if you hear your name when you walk into St. Paul Corner Drug. Our experienced staff make getting to know you their top priority. Developing a trusting relationship with our patients is the first step in providing personalized care that achieves the best outcomes possible. Make certain all your providers know who you are and what your needs.
I thought you saw what I put up in the chat. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's fine. Someone says, thank you, Windy, Windy.
Yes.
Wind. That's
What
fantastic.
did you see what I put in the private chat?
Let's see here. Oh, geez. Oh, I didn't read it. It didn't come up with that little red thing. I'll make note of that.
Sorry
next time.
about that.
No.
I was going to give you time to say something profound, and then you were like, yeah.
That was great.
No,
a lot of good comments today.
Yeah. It's a good show. We do good. We just, I just had to think maybe a little quicker on the Mary part, have her call and stuff. And then she's on vacation with her kids. That's why I just took her off a little early,
Yeah.
So still gave her 2 segments and,
Yeah, when she signed in, it was just like I thought it was like a picture collage of her, but it was her video, it's like her like this and then like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. Whatever. It worked out fine, but it was just a little sketchy there for a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah. So cool.
That balloon release, I don't know if you guys know, but that was Ohio. They wanted to break the Guinness World Record, most balloons released. They did it on an overcast day, and all the balloons landed in Lake Erie.
Oh.
And today, they're still picking up the pieces, and they got geese still dying of like plastics that they're finding. I mean, this is like 1980 something, like early 80s. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Stupid. Just a stupid. I mean, of course it's Cleveland, right? No one likes Cleveland anyway.